All right, let's move away from that right now back to the world of sports. The UEFA Champions League phase, of course, it reaches a thrilling conclusion on Wednesday as 13 matches kick off simultaneously, all carrying implications of qualifications and final standings. With Arsenal, Bayern Munich already assured of the round of 16 places, attention turns to Europe's heavyweights still fighting for position or survival. Manchester City aim to recover from a shock defeat to Bodo Glimt, while Inter, they seek to underline their credentials against Borussia Dortmund. Napoli, they face mounting pressure after inconsistent domestic and European form, risking an early exit from the UEFA Champions League. Tottenham, meanwhile, they could cap a surprising campaign by finishing in the top 8. Now, as the centenary edition edges closer to its knockout stage, dramatic twists remain possible, with final places, seedings and momentum all on the line. Now we're being joined, myself and Gimi Dekupukwala, very sure he's still there. We have Will Phillips, a sport journalist all the way from Salford, United Kingdom, joining this conversation at the moment. Welcome, Will. Thank you for your patience. Thank you at this time for joining us on In the Game.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Will, it's a lot to talk about at this time where the UEFA Champions League has reached a thrilling stage. 13 games will be kicking up simultaneously. What club faces the biggest risk of crashing out in the final day, and why do you think that club is at risk?
I actually think that Chelsea should be really concerned about Napoli. They've been in poor form recently, but they're still a very good side, Napoli, and I feel as though, with it all on the line for them, they could give Chelsea a real challenge, and it's been up and down under Arsene so far, and I think that, they're going to hope to qualify today, but yeah, Napoli can give them a real fight, so I think Chelsea need to be concerned.
All right, Chelsea, I'm sure their fans do not know about that, because every single Chelsea fan at the moment, they're as proud as anything can be. Let's talk about Manchester City and Barcelona. They are under pressure, serious pressure, despite the pedigree that they show. Which of them do you think should be more worried heading up into this knockout stage?
I think both sides obviously have certain other European pedigree, especially Barcelona. Obviously, they've one of the sides that have won it the most of all time. So I think that there is a certain pressure for Barcelona to go on and do well in European competitions every season that maybe doesn't exist quite as much for Manchester City, where their main priority is usually just winning the Premier League. That still could potentially happen. They're obviously a bit behind Arsenal at the moment, but you'd have to say they're still definitely in a title race. Barcelona similarly are a bit ahead of Real Madrid last time I checked. So it's hard to say which one of them should be feeling more pressure in the Champions League, because they've both got their own division titles that they're fighting for. But you'd think that I would wager that Barcelona are more likely to go on and win the Liga, and that not being seen as big of an achievement as if they don't go on to do well in the Champions League. I think it's vital for them, for a club of that size as Barcelona, to not just win the league, but also to do a very good campaign in Europe. Whereas Manchester City, I think if you were to ask most City fans right now, win the Premier League title for them, or at least going the distance with Arsenal, yes, it's a poor season for them if they don't do as well in Europe as you'd like them to. I don't think the pressure is as high though. So yeah, Barcelona, I think, are, of the two of them, under much greater pressure to do well in Europe.
All right, I'm hoping that Manchester City would not carry their form from the Premier League into the UEFA Champions League encounter. Tottenham Hotspur, let's look at them right now. Tottenham have changed. Yes, they have. I would say there's a little bit of revamp there for Tottenham Hotspur. They don't used to be the Tottenham they used to be before. Now you've talked about Chelsea, that you worry about Chelsea, that they might be the one to lose their standings in this encounter. Tottenham, they are tipped to make it into the surprise top 8 finishers in this group stage. Is this genuine? Is it going to be a genuine progress for them, or is the format working in their favour?
I think it is. I think it is progress for Tottenham. Obviously, I mean, they can only play in the system that they play in terms of how the league system has changed. Obviously, going from group stage to the league format. So, is it maybe a bit more beneficial to them that they can afford to lose a few games here and there in the Champions League? obviously, but the same goes for all the teams. I think that the reason I would say Tottenham probably have a better chance of qualifying compared to Chelsea is the opposition. Napoli are, tonight they'll be playing for their lives because they need to, otherwise they won't qualify. Frankfurt are already out of the competition, which kind of already gives Spurs a massive psychological advantage there. So you have to think that Frankfurt, they're playing purely for pride. They're not going to qualify, whereas Tottenham know that they need to win, which is why I say I think Chelsea are going to struggle a bit more because Napoli are also playing knowing they need to win. So yeah, I think that it's obviously, yes, this league is easier to qualify in compared to the group stages that we've seen in previous seasons, but it's the same goes for any team. So I think it would be unfair to take that away from Tottenham just because they're the ones benefited from this season.
Okay, we'll be hoping that indeed it's going to be a genuine progress for them and they can take the same form to the Premier League. Time that our friend Will, we have to call it a wrap on the show. Thank you so much for joining us at the moment, and we'll be looking forward to those who put up the surprises in the UEFA Champions League. Thank you, Will, over there. Phillips, a sport journalist from the United Kingdom.